All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions, continuing our pay-per-view retro review series. It's going to be WCW Uncensored 95. I'm your host, Mike,
I'm Frank, man. Let's get into this. We got a lot to cover on this.
unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, because there were, again, the idea, this was pretty much an Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Unfortunately, this is a pay-per-view with supposedly no rules, and it has rules. Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, let's get into it. March 19th, 1995, from Tupelo, Mississippi. I love Bobby Heenan on his commentary, especially in the opening match where oh man, it's just
Yeah, Bobby was
classic
good.
Bobby. You had Tony Schiavone and Bobby Heenan doing the commentary with Mike Tenay doing the interviews. No Mean Gene tonight. I like Mike Tenay. He was very informative, especially when he went and became an announcer. He'd tell you their entire background. Unfortunately, he would take too long. And by the time he
Right,
finished the
sometimes, yeah.
background, the match would be over. So, our opening match was actually filmed a few days prior to the pay per view. It was the King of the Road match. Jesus.
Oh,
It
Lord.
was, it was
Oh,
Dustin Rhodes versus the Blacktop Bully in an 18 wheeler. Now, the idea for this match was were driving around the kind of like the back roads of Tupelo, Mississippi. They did have an escort, cop escort. Of course, they did have to stop one time for a church bus.
for a church bus. Yeah, what I didn't understand is that they already they pre-taped this, yet they didn't start on cue.
No,
Like these guys were talking. Who was it? Heenan and who were the hosts for this? It was the three of them. It was
Shivani
Heenan, Shivani,
and Mike today.
and Tanay. Okay, yeah, they were talking, and then the match starts in the background, like on the big screen. So there was
Yeah,
like the timing was off, and then it's pre-taped, but then it's the way that it's shot. They try to make it like it was kind of like they were reporting almost, like kind of like the O.J. Simpson chase. Like they had
yeah.
the helicopter, and then they had the side the car
The,
that was
the
next
truck
to
that was on
them.
the side, yeah, with
And
the
then
filming it.
they had people actually in the back of the truck
Yeah,
that were filming it. So like they would cut away, and then they would cut away, and then you would just see like the trees and the ground. Like you wouldn't even see what was going on in the match. I'm like, these guys edited this. I don't know. Well, then there was like technical difficulties too. Maybe it was done on purpose to try to make it look like it was real, it was live. I don't know. But
something to that. I mean, and it was hard to even like they started on both sides of the trailer, so they're like jumping over hay
yeah, yeah.
and all this stuff. They're barely beating the hell out of each other.
And then you just
What's
got to ring the bell. That's it. The only
exactly? And what's funny is, and they kind of edited this because you really didn't see it. These two guys were fired right
yeah,
after this match for blading because they
for
have the
play,
no
yeah,
blading policy.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you couldn't see it if you watch it now on the network. You can't
So because
see
they
it because
edited
they
it, that's
edited
why.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is where Dustin Rhodes bids farewell to WCW,
Well,
heading into his Goldust gimmick.
but not only did Blacktop Bully get fired, this guy got fired too. Mike Graham gets fired. It's the three of them
Yep.
that got canned because he was involved in it.
Oh yeah.
So
This was the year that Bischoff was just just
see
sending them
ya.
out. And let me just say this before we continue. The main event match prior to this was Steve Austin, and I
And
believe this was his final
right, yeah, before he was.
because he fought Tim Horner.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was not a good year in '95 to hold on to your job, really. I mean,
Yeah.
Bischoff was just FedExing releases like crazy, and what he was
Well, they
putting
had been
on
warned.
was,
The thing is, these guys got canned because they were warned. Like there was already pressure on WCW about the bleeding.
but
So
in this
like
type of
they
match, it would
warned them.
make sense to do it.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to do it, so you can't
I
do it.
know, but I mean, at least the blood, it would make sense. And you're okay. You're
If you were
doing an
allowed to
extreme
do,
rules
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
The blood would be, it would actually be warranted.
Right, but they weren't allowed to.
I know, which makes no sense because
Well,
obviously falling around a truck
no, but it
like
wasn't
this,
on
it's going to
WCW.
happen.
Bischoff would have done it if the higher ups,
Yeah,
the corporate people and everything, if they hadn't laid down, said no. Remember, this is coming from Turner. It's not coming from
yeah,
Bischoff, so it's above him. Otherwise, he would have allowed it. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
it is because a very good career of Dustin Rhodes comes to an end in WCW. You know, now he's going to go on to WWE. Blacktop Bully.
See
Never
ya.
really liked the gimmick. I
Yeah,
mean,
smash.
hey, yeah, Demolition. Maybe they should have come back together. Who knows? In any event, after this match, Mike Tenay had interviewed Arn Anderson and Colonel Robert Parker. Based on he's right now he's 1 for 1. He's got two more matches for his stable and to this night. They talked about the martial arts match. and they talked about Arn Anderson's boxer versus wrestler, which was, oh my God, I'll get into that when we get into it. Now, the next match was the martial arts match with special guest referee Sonny Ono.
Yeah.
Sonny not acting like his regular self. This is like a little weird to just see him like being serious. Ming versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And what made this match funny was Duggan keeps saying, I'm not bowing, get off my back. And he just keeps doing his ho USA. And I'm like, dude, just shut up and get in the ring or just to get this match going. So he finally does the bow, Ming with the bow. Now, Ming would do the martial arts. Duggan's doing the wrestling. Okay. I mean, I don't know, man, about this. It was funny. The one thing that was funny was Duggan hit his 3-point stance on Ming, but Ming gets right up. No sells it instantly. Parker gets involved. Duggan's dealing with him now. And what's funny is at the ending of this match is Parker's got one arm, one of Duggan's arms. Sonny Ono's trying to pull him back, so he's got the other arm. So Ming hits the savate kick on Duggan and gets the pin, and that's how this match ends. So we're 2 for 2 on Crapola at this point because, I mean, your idea for an Extreme Rules or unsanctioned matches is it's not.
They had their hand. They had their hand. Bad booking, but they were handcuffed to a degree too. So
then I honestly I don't think they should have ran with this. Yeah. I think it should have just been a regular pay-per-view. Maybe
the story behind it was that they were adding pay-per-views and they kind of wanted to be able to differentiate each pay-per-view from the next. So in order to try to make it different from the other ones,
because they got their eye on ECW too. DCW is now starting to become getting some traction, getting some interest from people. People are watching it. I'm sure Bischoff, who claims he didn't care anything about them, which is
Sullivan. I think Sullivan had.
Sullivan did, yes, because Sullivan would tell him, "Look, you got to, keep an eye on this because they're doing something."
But they weren't allowed to do what ECW could do, so it was
exactly
stupid.
So it's like, what's the point, really? Then
I agree.
So following this match, Mike Tenay interviewed Johnny B. Bad and his trainer Rock Finnegan, who
Mickey.
That's how Heenan put it. And they were talking about his left hand punch, which is called taking him to Dreamland. So this was the setting up. This was the boxer versus wrestler. Now, here's the stipulations of it from what I gathered, also from watching it. The title was not on the line. No titles were on the line at this point. This night, the rules stated that Arn Anderson, as the wrestler, could win by pinfall or submission, whereas Johnny B. Bad, as the boxer, could only win by knockout.
Right.
Oh, good God. Now, this is something the WWE did, but they made it a straight up, if it was boxer versus wrestler, it was a boxing match or a wrestling match, not incorporating both, but whatever. And this was also done by rounds. So the first 2 rounds, Johnny B. Bad was just knocking Arn Anderson around the ring. I mean, he was laying him out. What's funny is after the second round bell, Arn Anderson goes over to the during the free time period and DDTs him. Now, obviously, there's no disqualification, so they really can't do anything.
You think he throws him over the top rope too, right? Does he? Mm-hmm. I think he throws him over the top rope.
So, and then Anderson attacked him in the corner. And Finnegan actually attacked Arn Anderson coming into round 3. Now, what was funny is, as the 4th round starts, Finnegan cuts the tape off the left hand of Arn Anderson.
So it was like
Johnny B. Bad. It
was like Rocky 3 when Rock was saying, "Cut my gloves," and Paulie cuts the gloves off. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he starts kicking Thunder Lips' ass. That was good. But he cuts the tape off, so Anderson was able to hit the knockout punch with his fist.
But how about he had the bucket on his head?
He puts his bucket on his head. Yeah, Finnegan puts the bucket on
broke his hand if he did that.
Oh my God! 22 seconds into the 4th round.
Bang! And then he takes
Johnny B. Bad wins this match. Yeah. Oh my God! What are we seeing tonight? Oh man. Okay. Following this now. Oh boy. They did a video package on Randy Savage and then interviewed he was interviewed by Mike today. The tag match that happened 2 months prior at Super Brawl I'm sorry, the previous month, they did it in February, would now be two individual singles matches. So this was Randy Savage versus Avalanche,
Hmm.
which I always thought was a pretty good match in
Yeah.
WCW. I would have liked to see it in WWE. They had said that Avalanche had always had an issue with Randy, and I'm assuming they're talking about WWE, but at that point they were kind of both heels, so it's like I don't understand that, but whatever. But Randy actually held his own in this match against Avalanche. Kind of better, kind of a little better than what Hogan had done in WWE. I mean, Savage was pulling out all the stops, top rope. He rolled him up. He,
Hmm.
he did what he did what he could.
Tried to slam him,
He,
then he fell on him.
yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I've said this again. This was a night of no rules, correct? So tell me how Randy Savage wins by disqualification because a female fan
Oh,
attacked him at ringside, who turns out to be Ric Flair
Ric Flair. It's not the
in
only.
drag. Not the only time we're going to see Flair either that
Yeah.
night.
Flair was just crazy. They made him like he had snapped. He's got the
That's what
mask
Heenan was saying. He goes,
mascara
man,
on.
he's like, I don't, he goes, there's something wrong with this
Yeah.
man. Well, it's because Hogan coming in and Savage coming in, Flair went to practically cuckoo to the dark side here because it's, he's not, he lost his title. He can't beat these two. He's constantly losing to them.
Well, he's
Then his career was gone at one point,
right.
briefly.
Is it at this point he's not allowed to wrestle?
He's not allowed to wrestle. Hell, he
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
even supposed to be there, but Nick Bockwinkel was not in attendance, which is why
Yeah.
Flair showed up. So, I mean, this is sending Flair to the other
Yeah.
side by
And
this
of
point.
course,
But
Hogan has to come out.
well, it's the Mega Powers reunited.
Yeah.
Mega Powers 2000 here, and Flair's irate at this point. I mean, but again, no, there's supposed to be no rules, but Randy Savage wins by DQ over Avalanche. I don't. This
Don't
is
make
not making sense.
no.
You guys are just all over the place at
No,
this
it doesn't.
point.
And it continues not to make sense.
It's WCW. It doesn't get to make sense of
Yeah.
2001. In any event, right after that match, they Mike Tenay had interviewed Harlem Heat and Sherry later because later on they have a Texas Tornado style Falls Count Anywhere match against
Mhm.
the Nasty Boys, so they were pretty confident on that. Following that, they showed what led up to our next match, which was Sting versus Big Bubba Rogers. How Bubba claimed that
Yep.
Sting cost him the triangle match. Then he went back to his roots, which is like his fourth gimmick. But we're gonna wrestle in a suit.
Well, I think he was well, I think because he was Bubba Rogers way before, even before Boss Man. I think he was Bubba Rogers.
Yeah, in the independent scene before he
Yeah.
got there. So, and this was an anything goes match. I don't really buy that. If it's anything goes, they kept it in the ring. I'd be bringing chairs and weapons in this freaking thing, but yeah, anything goes. But we're gonna stay in the ring. But what was interesting about this was Sting had supposedly re-injured his knee, and they were talking about how in 1990 he was out several months. He had the knee surgery. He came back. He won the title. That he also couldn't really stand on it. He's trying to fight back against Bubba. He goes for the body slam on Sting. Sting goes for it on Bubba. He can't hold him, so that's how Big Bubba Rogers wins this match over
Yeah.
Sting.
Because before that, he had I think he threw Bubba Rogers to the ropes. I think, and then Sting tried to frog. What is it called? The frog jump. What is it called?
The leapfrog, yeah.
He leapfrog and he couldn't get all the way up because of his knee, and then he falls down, and so they were really selling that knee. But yeah,
Yeah.
so he loses.
I mean, it was good on Sting's part to give it to, they're trying to build Bubba Rogers
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
be a villain. Unfortunately, he's not going to get to Vader status,
No.
but at least it's somebody like in WWE, when Boss Man was feuding with Hogan and Savage. He's not a main event, but he was at least be able to work with the top guys and get the victories at some point. So it was good to see that here. Unfortunately, we know Bubba doesn't go anywhere in WCW
No.
following us, and it's unfortunate too. So following this, now they did a video package on Harlem Heat and Nasty Boys. What led up to this from the previous year
Mm.
at Starrcade? I mean, these guys were just going back and forth. It's also funny because they're really only the two tag teams here at this point.
Pretty much. I mean, it was a good rivalry though. But yeah,
It was. It really, really was. And I loved Harlem Heat with Sherry at ringside. I mean, Sherry coming out. I mean, she looked good in the outfit. She made them better than what they were before. And then Mike Tenay interviews the Nasty Boys, and then now they do a video package on just Harlem Heat, which they were doing a lot at this
Hmm.
point. So we get to the Falls Count Anywhere match, and what's funny is Sherry comes out. They're playing the theme. She's got the tag
She
titles
got
in
the
her
belts,
hand,
yeah,
and she's like, "Come on, guys!" And
yeah.
she's just coming out by herself. And we're like, and I think I don't think it was Bobby Heenan said this. Tony said, "Are they running scared?" And then because now here comes the Nasty Boys out to the ring, and they're looking at her, and she's like, yeah, they're coming. And we're like, everybody's like, what's going on? They come out from the other end of the arena to beat down the Nasty Boys. Now this was the type of match we should have seen all night because they took
Yeah,
this to the concession stand.
yeah, it turned
And,
into a
what,
food fight.
and what's funny is accidentally they ripped Sherry's attire twice. Once in the ring, and then once at the food
Sherry,
court.
I like how Sherry gets involved in the match, and
Yeah,
Sherry's
now
like,
it became a
she's
3-on-2
screaming, like
handicap match.
she's screaming. It's great stuff,
But
man.
she's throwing shots while she's holding up her
Yeah,
outfit because it accidentally had gotten
yeah,
torn. And they're throwing mustard, ketchup, hot dogs, pop. I mean, but the best part is the camera does not show you the pinfall. Because all of a sudden they ring the bell, and even Bobby's like, "Wait,
yeah.
somebody got the pin?"
Yep.
And it was the Nasty Boys getting the victory over Harlem Heat,
Nasty boys, nasty
which would
boys.
set up at Slamboree a tag title match. Finally, because again, no titles were on the line tonight. Nothing was sanctioned. But the Nasty Boys do get the victory over Harlem Heat and Sherry. I guess you could say it was a handicap
Yeah,
because she was. They were wailing on her. She's wailing on them. I actually enjoyed this
yeah.
match.
It was funny. It was entertaining at least.
This is a very good rivalry. Again, probably the only two tag teams at this point. That's why this was
Hmm.
drawn out too. So following this match now, Mike Tenay did an interview with Vader and Drag Queen
Yeah.
Flair.
And Flair, yeah, Flair still has the eyeliner on,
Oh my God.
some of the lipstick or
Scary.
whatever. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Flair looks like he's out of his mind. Vader was good though. I
Vader was
love Vader
Vader.
promos, yeah. But Flair looked like he was crazy.
And this is where they announced that the Renegade, the bootleg warrior,
But they
would
had
be in Hogan's corner.
the thing is they had built this up, and the rumor was that it was the Ultimate Warrior. Nobody really knew because he kept saying his ultimate surprise and the
Yeah,
ultimate power, whatever. And then I think it
I
might,
remember the Saturday night things that they were doing that.
and I think it was the day before on WCW Saturday Night that he said it was the Renegade, and they showed him like in the background with the smoke, and then I guess they finally said, "Oh, you know what? We better tell people the truth because if we keep this going, and then we bring out the Renegade, they're probably gonna boo the hell out of him. At least now they'll know it's not the Warrior." But another rumor was that it was actually supposed to be the Road Warriors that was supposed to come back, but I
Yeah.
think they might have still been in Japan or something, some
Mhm.
contractual things or something. So
Yeah.
they ended up with the Renegade, which
The Road Warriors do return about a month or two
yeah,
after this. But yeah, like I said, Renegade would be in Hogan's corner. Flair's going to be in Vader's corner. The whereabouts of Jimmy Hart, nobody knows. He eventually we find out he was kidnapped,
yeah.
and half his clothes were torn. But and I love about this match. Now the main event is coming up now. It's the leather strap match. There's no referee, so how are you going to
Well,
know when you hit all four corners? Explain that
no,
to
but
me.
even before when this guy introduced it, I think he did say it was sanctioned though, even though it was not sanctioned. When Michael Buffer makes the introduction, I think he does say something about, and then he
I
messes
believe,
up.
yeah,
He says something about Hulkamania. He's the leader of Hulkamania, or something. I forget what he says. He said something, which did,
it's Michael Buffer.
and Hogan comes out, right? And then you're thinking the Renegade's not going to come out, and then the Renegade comes out.
Yeah, I love that he keeps chasing Flair around the ring.
Yeah, and he's supposed to, this is like the Wish version of Ultimate Warrior.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. This exactly. There's Amazon and there's your wish list. Oh my God. I mean, they tried with this guy, but he was a cup of coffee. He wins one belt.
It's not his fault. It was just a bad
No, it's
gimmick.
not.
Yeah,
I
just
mean, you
doing
could kind of get into it, but people know that you're
no.
copying the Ultimate Warrior. You really are, and especially with the outfit, the '92 Warrior.
Yeah.
So that's the only
Face
problem
paint.
here.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, it's nothing against the guy. He was built,
Yeah, but he
but
wasn't like a freak. Like he wasn't
no,
like the Warrior was a freak of nature, But plus the charisma, obviously. But
yeah,
this match was so disappointing, though.
yeah, it was because they're going at it with each other. Then you get eventually, as the match is getting totally crazy, um, halfway through the match now, Jimmy Hart does come down. You see the tape on his wrist and
Yeah.
whatnot. Now you get a masked man coming
The
down.
Black Scorpion, the return of the Black Scorpion, but it's not the Black Scorpion.
Seriously.
How many times are they gonna do this masked man nonsense?
What was funny was
he knocked out Renegade, right? He knocked out Renegade. Yeah.
Knocks out Renegade with the chair.
With the chair.
And later on, here comes the masked man again. And what's funny is now here comes Arn Anderson, coming out, gagged and stuff, and it takes Flair and Vader like 5 minutes to figure this out. And now the masked man in the ring is Macho Man Randy Savage to even the score. Hogan, with all of this drama going on, by the way, Hogan does hit all 4 turnbuckles, despite the fact that there's no referee in this match.
Yeah, but
he does it with Ric Flair.
He does it with Ric Flair.
So he doesn't even do it with Vader.
No.
So how does he win this match?
I don't know.
And then at one point, Flair hits Hogan with the chair, does nothing. Flair's here we go.
Well, yeah, what a stinker, man! I told you this. That's what I said in the last review when I was doing Super Brawl. That was the high point. Like the Vader Hogan high point was Super Brawl, and then it was all downhill. This was garbage.
It was chaos.
Not for the title. It's not for the title.
No,
and then the match is garbage, and then he beats Flair. He doesn't even beat Vader.
And Flair's not even on the active roster really at this point. You have no referee to ring, but yet they ring in the bell.
This is a stinker. This is just a stinker all around.
This first one was, it really was. It was just chaos. Like how Bischoff still kept his job after some of these pay-per-views, I have no idea.
And the funny thing is, I remember being like, I was actually pretty fired up to watch this pay-per-view. I wanted to see the rematch with Hogan versus Vader, and it was unsanctioned. It's not sanctioned. I'm like, oh, I was excited.
So you're thinking that this is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and then I'm there, and I'm like, it's a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
So
it was.
Well, that's WCW Uncensored 95. You guys
they do have for everybody watching this, they do have decent pay-per-views going forward. Not many, but a few decent ones.
Yeah.
This wasn't one of them.
But not the inaugural.
No.
All right, so you guys let us know what you think. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.